So in this video, I would like to talk a little bit about QLab groups and what a group can do for you. And so what I've got is I've built a quick little show here, which may not be a specifically good show. Let's see if we can get this to close, and now there we are. Right, so, and the way that this is set up right now, we're at a little party, a little gathering. So if we hit go, we've got beer bottles that are clanking. If I hit go again, I start a group chatter, and then some footsteps that kind of walk by in one of the speakers. Right, so the way that this is set up now, I have to hit the go 3 times. Now I could obviously change that by going ahead and making them all an auto continue, and they would all start immediately after that. But we do want to kind of keep them all together. And one of the ways that we can do that is with this thing that's called a group queue, right? So if I go up here and I drag a group queue, and I drag the group queue right in front of it, we'll see that it's given it a new queue number, but there's nothing in our group so far. So if I grab all of my first 3 queues here and I throw them into my group queue, and I think that it didn't go in. It's a little tricky dragging them. Let's see if I can get them to go in. There they go. So now they're inside of this group queue. And if I click on the group queue and I hit go now, right, you can see that it runs kind of the same way, that I need to start each one of them individually, right, which is not really what I wanted to do. I kind of want everything to run together, right, to be able to correspond as a group. So if I go back up and I select the group, and down at the bottom you'll see that you have your basic, your trigger, and then over here you have this thing called mode, right? And under the group mode, it determines how that cue is going to behave when it's triggered during playback. The default action is start the first cue, the first child, and then enter into the group and run the go for each individual cue after that. The other thing that we can do is a timeline start, and that is going to start all of the cues, all of the children simultaneously. So let's select that, and now let's hit go. And you can see and hear that it started all of those cues all at the same time. Now inside of the group, we also could have gone ahead and put in an auto continue, right? I'm sure if I click in the right spot. Oh, I may not be able to now that I've changed that. Start the first child, enter the right, and auto continue, and we shouldn't need an auto continue here. Go, right? And it did the exact same thing, right? So you may find that there are times where it's easiest to go ahead and have a group that then starts everything together, or you may want to start the first child and enter into the group, or the next thing is to start the first child and go to the next cue, right? And so if I do this, we say go, it starts everything, and now it moves us to the next cue that's outside of the group, which is also very useful. Just the thing that I want to talk about is the idea that groups can be effective ways of organizing your information. You can also then collapse the group, right, so that it's just, there's nothing showing. All of the internal information is not showing. And that's a way to help keep your cue lists less cluttered. And then we just open that little cue list back up, and it'll appear there. Now, kind of the cool thing about it is we have our party that's playing, but at some point we may want to fade that party out. So what I can do is just insert a fade cue, right? And I think that that fade cue wound up inside of my group, and what we want to do is just make sure that it's outside of the group. Now I can grab my group and fade that group as a whole. Let's go to audio levels, right here, audio levels, and we'll just give it a little bit of a fade. And let's go back and start our group. Our party is going on. And now somebody walks away and it fades, and we can fade the entire group as a whole. We don't need to worry about each of the individual component parts, right? So that's just a little bit about groups. Groups can be a good way to organize your cue list, especially if you're starting multiple things at the same time. And you can do fades within that group. If we were to drag, here, let's see if we can drag them all in at the same time. Let's see if we can drag all of those in together, right? So now what we have is a auto continue, and then let's give that a delay of 8, enter. And so now when I start my group, it's going to start our party. It's going to wait 8 seconds. It's going to change a radio station. And then it's going to land on Pink Floyd, right? And so now we've changed our group. But when I run the next cue, again, everything fades because we're fading that entire group. So that's just a little bit about groups and how you can organize them. Whether or not you want to do follows, if you have fades and things that need to happen inside of here, you may need your individual fades. And if you just need to start a bunch of things together all at the same time, you could use a timeline to start that. So there you have it. And now let's see if I can actually turn this off. QuickTime Player. Here we go. Control Shift Command 5, and I will see you again in a little bit.